Well, what's up? Oh my God. What is up, everybody? Ooh, tired. Just got out of the shower a little bit ago. I was going to shave, uh, but I didn't. Actually, I just got home a little bit ago, to be honest with you. So we were in the pool, we were hanging out, and then went to a little get together. So I'm a little beat down. This is obviously not the outfit I wore at the get together for some of you out there that were asking me what I was going to wear to this get together. That's true. That's actually true. Why can't I hear out of this? Hello, testing. Test one. Test. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Frickin'. Um, but man, I'm a little tired, but I needed to record because I'm trying to get my episodes caught up. And I wanted to uh, do the episode that I had this week and push it to another week because it's going to go kind of hand in hand. So I was like, man, let's just do this episode. By the way, did you see my new book, my Godzilla book? Oh, bro. It's like the history of Godzilla. It's super cool. I've only read a couple pages of it. But anyway, um, so let's dive into this. Yeah, I was at a get together. That's kind of where this podcast kind of stemmed from. Really cool time. I'm glad I went. I didn't want to go in the beginning. I was really. Let me rephrase that. Let me back this up a little. Let me jaw rule this for a little second. Um, I wanted to go because I love these people that I know that I don't get to see very much, even though they don't live far. And actually, I almost pass their house daily now for my job. They're great people, man, and we don't get to hang very much. So the fact that they were having some people at their house, they got a pool, and it was a good night out for it. And it's I've been so stressed out lately, like not stressed out in the sense that yeah, I guess I have been stressed out. I've got a lot going on, and I was talking to somebody earlier today at this little get together. I was like, dude, I feel very spiraling out of control. And not in a bad way, like where I'm like, oh my God, I'm on a binger, I'm drinking, I'm fighting, I'm scarfacing it up over here. That's not what I'm saying. I just mean like I need to take a step and go and focus because what I'm doing now is this. And I know everybody's always made that joke, like Brandon, when are you going to stop burning the candle at both ends? Well, first off, the candle's gone, guys. The candle's gone. Now I'm just burning everything around me. And there are no ends. I'm just setting things on fire. So it's not about that. I've actually been pretty good at getting rest and focusing on my working out and stuff like that. So that's a positive. That hasn't slipped. But there's so many things that I have to do at my new job. It's not my new job. That's not what I mean. With the same company. I'm not leaving. So many things I have to do at this new location. And I'm the type of guy that wants an impact right away. When you take a player and he's a good utility player and he's better than a utility player and he's in there fixing things and tweaking things out and doing this and add, you want to make that impact. When Luka went to LA, not by choice, worst move in NBA history so far. Instant impact. Instant. Not just to get the Mavericks against everybody. Instant to the team, morale and all that. I want to be that guy on the team where I'm in there like we're doing this. And I think I'm doing it. But in the meantime, I'm worried about is there enough time to be able to get these things done and manage that? So I have to do better at that. It was my first week at this new location, and I started on frickin' Memorial Day. So, like now it's like we got through it. Let's pull back. And Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, let's focus. So that's what I mean. But I'm getting dates confused. I kept on thinking this week was Father's Day week. And I'm telling people, hey guys, we got this big cab event, Cabernet, cab sale coming up. It starts Wednesday. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. I'm an idiot. It's next week. Oh, Father's Day weekend's this weekend. And then I got the dates wrong. Like, it's the 13th. No, it's what? Like, so I need to take a minute, look at my planner, and calm down. So I've been a little out of control. So I was very happy when I went to this thing to take a minute to unwind. Um, and there was good people there because it wasn't big. It wasn't like a big party. There was like maybe 10 people, enough to where like you could split off in a couple groups. You got people swimming. You got people just, always hanging at the kitchen. You got people just chilling, listening to music. Like, 10, 12 people. It was a good mix. And I knew most of them in some fashion. And yeah, we talked about work a little, but we didn't. It was fun. Like, it was fun. Like, I had some fun moments and stories and all this. And, I brought the date, and guys, I've talked about this situation since we started doing whatever we're doing. And she's super cool, man. Like, she really is cool. um, you know me, guys, waiting for that other shoe to drop. But, um, I can't live in that atmosphere. I can't live in that mindset, in that place where you are just waiting for things to not work out, because then they won't work out. And I don't even know what working out means. I mean, gym wise, but I don't. So I'm rolling with it. She's cool, man. She's awesome. I have mad respect for her. She's funny. Like, I knew she was a little sarcastic, but she's even funnier than I thought. You know, I watched my cat come in here because my door's open. I just saw it crack. I closed it like this much. Watch him come in here and make noise. It's like a thing. It's a daily thing on this, or a weekly thing on this episode. But it was cool. So we got to hang out, and shout out if she's listening. I saw her in a swimsuit for the first time. So nice. Not too bad there. Just saying. Just it's one thing to see a girl dressed. It's one thing to see a girl undressed, and then it's another thing to see a girl in a swimsuit. So, but it was cool. So we were talking and hanging out, and one of my buddy's friends has this tattoo on his shoulder that I was like trying to figure out what it was. We were in the pool, and I'm looking, and it's big, significant. It's got these designs and colors, and I feel like it's done well on like the color aspect of it. Like, I feel like the colors are done well. But for the life of me, without staring at him like I was some sort of creep, I couldn't tell what it was. And I'm like, is this, maybe this is handmade. Maybe, like, you know what I mean? Like, hand drawn. Maybe he came up with this idea and had somebody ink it on him. I still never figured out what it was. And I think it looked okay, but then I'm like, or does it just look, is it a bad tattoo done well? Is it a bad design with really nice colors? I never asked because I don't care enough to ask, but started thinking about tattoos, because Luke talks about tattoos. He's not sure if he's going to get one. And then he says, well, which one should I get if I do? And I'm like, well, you're 7, so nothing. Well, maybe I'll get a dragon, and which makes sense from a 7-year-old. Maybe I'll get this astronaut riding a dragon in the ocean. Yeah, that totally makes sense. And we started thinking about that. Excuse me. And I started thinking about my tattoos because I have 9 or something, and I want more. But I got mine a long time ago. I'm 46. My very first tattoo, I was 16. Now, you're not supposed to get them when you're 16, unless you have somebody sign for you. Well, I didn't. There was a shop in Brighton off of Grand River. I think it's still there, called American Graffiti. It was a cool joint. Good people. And I was 16, so I knew people that had tattoos. And obviously, but I didn't know anything about it. I knew it might hurt, and I hate needles. I hate needles like big time. Like drawing blood sucks, you know. Um, but I've also was like, I think I can handle it. I didn't know if they were a good shop, but it was one of the only shops I knew, minus a couple I knew in Detroit. One down in like Inkster and Canton and stuff like that. And I was like, no, I'm going to go here. And we went. And I had nothing. I just want a tattoo. And I'm sure these guys have seen it from 16, 17, 18 year olds like the whole time. I just want a tattoo. I had this idea in my head. Excuse me. But I never yawned on the podcast before, did I? I need more water. What's going on already? I had this idea in my head. Remember that movie From Dusk Till Dawn with Quentin Tarantino, George Clooney? It's, Robert Rodriguez, Zelma Hayek, probably one of the greatest. Dude, I think just being in the sun in chlorine has like fried my eyes. But I still feel hot, Um, one of the greatest scenes of Zelma Hayek ever. Okay, here he comes. He's on the prowl, guys. I just saw him creep in. 3, 2, 1, and meow. Okay. All right, he's here by my feet. But he didn't meow. So anyway, um, really cool movie. Love that movie. I think it's one of Tarantino's best movies. It's just this wild vampire movie with a killer soundtrack. Um, George Clooney is probably one of the best in that movie. And he's got this tattoo that starts off on his neck and kind of goes all down his arm. And it's this like tribal, just this black, like viney thing and whatever. You know. And I was like, that's what I'm going to get. I'm going to get one of those, start it here, but I'll start on my arm and maybe I'll just do the shoulder, not on my neck. Maybe I'll just do the shoulder and start to do it all the way down, right? But I started at a piece at a time. So if I want to change the design, plus I couldn't afford it. So I literally have on this arm here, you can kind of see part of it here. Stupid Goldberg wannabe crap. It's like everybody that wore like Affliction has these. And it goes here. And I picked it off the wall. And I remember like going, oh, it's got to mean something. What does it mean? Doesn't mean anything. They cost me $60. The guy did it. Took like 45 minutes. Didn't hurt. And I got it. That was the dumbest tattoo I've got. Like, I feel like for the most part, your first tattoo is a dumb one. And people are like, do you regret it? And I can understand the concept of like regretting it because it's on your body for the rest of your life unless you have it removed or covered up. To me, that's part of the story. Like, I remember who went with me to get this tattoo. I remember that they didn't ID me. I remember hiding it from my parents forever until I just didn't care anymore. Until it was, it was like clean and dried and not peeling anymore. And everybody thought it was fake. And I was like, no, it's not. They did, like, it took them almost a year to find out that it was real. And, I mean, I don't like it, but who cares? And I remember showing everybody, and everybody's like, "Yeah, it's cool. What are you gonna do?" I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna add to it." Remember that scene from George Clooney? The movie was super poppable. Poppable, dude. That's a word. Somebody pinned that word, poppable. Yo, that's poppable. Anyway, super popular at the time. Uh, so we were talking about it. And it was one of my favorite movies, and I think it's still probably one of my favorite Quentin Tarantino movies. It's a lot of Tarantino films. That's a whole nother conversation. But that was my first tattoo, and I'm like, I don't regret it because that's a story. That's part of me. That was a piece of my life at that time. Do I think it's done? Yes. Do I think like I could cover it up? Yes. Thank God I never went further with my grandiose plan of trying to get this George Clooney Dust Till Dawn tattoo, because that would have been just god awful. But I was thinking about tattoos, and they are a story. You know, whether it's a good story or not, they're a story. They're a piece of you. I mean, I've seen some god awful tattoos in my life. Like, I dated this girl, and she had this stupid tattoo on the back of her neck. Stupid. Stupid. Not even done right. Might as well have been a prison tattoo. Thank God she had long hair to cover it. But every now and then I would see it, and I'm like, ew. And it was this weird design with like this little tiny rose in it. I'm like, of all the spots you could put it on, like it's right in the back of your neck. Like, yes, you have long hair, thank God, but what? And then I asked her, I was like, did you do it to hide it from your parents or whatever? She's like, no, it's just good. No, I just wanted to. My friend had one there, so I wanted to do the same thing as her. And I'm like, okay, but that's her story. I'm sure there's some, deeper, not deeper meaning to the tattoo, but I'm sure now that she's older, if she thinks about it, maybe not, that she would sit there and remember that time and that story and the time of your life and what you were going through and what you did and where you were in your life to get that tattoo. Maybe not. Maybe she's just like, oh, I don't know, I just got it. Um, but I mean, then there's this girl that I know that had several tattoos, and a lot of them were about her dancing and music, and that's who she is as a person. She was a professional dancer. She's very involved in music, and she got a bunch of them. And so I'm like, that's you. And it not only is it they good, most of them can be concealed, which is very strategic on her part. Um, but you like they look good, and I think tattooed girls for the most part are just hot. There ain't nothing like a girl that's got like, yeah, if done correctly. You see what I'm saying? And it's borderline because there's some women out there and some girls out there, and I'm not gonna bash them. I mean, they're beautiful in their own right. That have like tattoo here and it goes all over their body, and I'm like, that's great. Like, I might get distracted if we're getting freaky in bed and start looking at your tattoos and forget what I'm doing. It's like a roadmap, or like maybe it's a movie. Like, ooh, what's going on in this scene? Let me lift this leg up. Anyway, um, but then there's other girls I see them covered up like that, and I'm like, and I've never been like a face tattoo guy for the most part. Then again, I got people that I'm connected with that I respect. I'm friends with that have some, maybe one here, and that's fine. I'm not bashing you, but I'm not Jelly Roll or Post Malone. So I think that those stories, that those tattoos add something to them, to their history and who they are. And some people do regret them, and some people don't talk about them. Some people keep them covered. Um, I don't. I got the Italian flag on my shoulder. Well, why would I ever regret that? All I want to do is get it touched up. But why would I regret that? That's me. And on the other shoulder, I have a portrait of my papa. Like the man that I love and forever. Who actually saw it at a wedding, and I did the podcast on that. And he was very old school, so seeing number one with my shirt half off at a wedding with a tattoo, not something he was typically into, but he was very secretly proud of it, told people about it. And it's a great portrait. It looks good. I need some touch up on it because it's old, guys. It's old, but I'm also nervous for them to touch it up. What if they screw it up? And I can't go back to the original artist in Michigan, so I'm gonna have to spend some money for them to really tweak it out. And good thing is, and it looks good still, but good thing is, especially because it's on my shoulder, so even in the pool, like I lather up, but a lot of times because I have tattoos here, I just leave my shirt on so the sun doesn't hit my tattoos. Now I do have stuff I can put on it and all that. And if we go night swimming, then that's a different story. But um like that's a great tattoo, and I still have the picture of what they used to get that tattoo. So to me, why would I ever take that off? I thought about one point putting the date on it, but I don't need to put the date on it. I don't need the date of, his years of life. I just would much rather have that image. And so that doesn't mean it, that's not something that I would ever get rid of. And I also like, besides the fact that it means something to me, I remember getting it done. I remember how long it took. I remember who saw it. I remember the wedding and how it all came to be to where my papa got to view that. And my grandma talking trash like, oh, well, I guess we know who his favorite is. And she was joking about it, and my papa was just like, "Put your shirt on." And here I am thinking that he's upset, but really he's just bragging to people that I got it. And that was really cool. So I remember that story, you know. And then there's other tattoos that I've wanted that maybe I didn't get, or I've designed, or not designed but came up with the concepts. Like there's still something I want to do for Luke. And I have kind of this roughly loose, interesting concept, but I don't know when and if I'm going to get it done. And some people are like, oh, I get portrait, or I get their date of births, or I'm not looking for that. I want to do something that I know is about him and connected to him, but it's not the obvious. I just haven't quite figured out when and how and where I'm going to get it. I've got a couple different things I could do. But then I've also got, I've got my last name going up here. Why? Well, that's who I am. That's me. There's a reason why, because that's who I am. Like, it's that name is what I passed on to Luke. He's my legacy, but this is who I am. So why not? I've got the Made in Detroit symbol right here, y'all. Boom, came out great. Why am I made in Detroit? Well, guys, I think that's a pretty obvious question. Besides the brand and all that, do I have to? Do I have to spell it out for you? I mean, you listen to the freaking show. I think you guys figure that out. You know, um, and those are all, and I remember going to get those. I mean, I just moved to Texas. I was feeling a bit out of place. Texas is weird, man. Look, I'm gonna tell you right now, some things in Texas, I'm like, I don't want to be part of this. But I mean, it's not only this might be my home, and it is home, but it's not my hometown. You know what I mean? It's important for me to have a piece of that. As representation of the time I spent there, what I've done. Not that I would ever forget, but as we get older, you don't get back much more. You don't get to go back, and as people leave, family leaves, or friends move, or maybe you drift apart, then it's less reasons for me to go back. I'm not saying there's not going to be somebody in Michigan or Detroit that I can't connect with, you know. But the older we get, the less reasons for me to go back, And if my parents, God forbid, when their time comes, okay, well then what? Yeah, I can go back and visit some friends, but my friends can also come here, and I can go back and visit my cousins, but my cousins can also come here. And honestly, frankly, half of them don't even reach out anymore. So yeah, I'm guilty. I'm guilty for that. The ones I do reach out are the furthest away. It's crazy, but I'm guilty. But I also firmly believe, like at some point, you got to stop chasing people, man. You got to like, yes, there's a balance of you got to make that effort. I respect that, and I respect everybody's lives and how busy they are. And you've got to make that effort to connect. And some of them do. And, I wish Luke knew his aunts or cousins, whatever they would be. I know I can't do the math. Family math is weird. You know, I wish he knew them more than he did, and the ones that he did meet, thank God. But it bothers him. I know it bothers him because I hear him talk about it. I wish I knew them, Dad. Me too, bud. You know, Again, I've said it before. I'm not going to force you in my life, and I'm not going to force you in my son's life. You either want to be here or you don't. And at some point, I'm not going to beg you to be here. And it's sorry if he suffers for it, but I'd much rather have him be like, yeah, I didn't get to know him very much, but then get to know somebody and have them dip, or try to get to know them and then they don't even care. And I'm not saying that about my cousins. I'm just saying in general. But because of that, I got the Made in Detroit. That's who I am. So God forbid if I never get back there in years or things happen, I know who I am. He knows who I am, where I came from. And those are tattoos that, yeah, they're better looking than my, weird tribal, Bill Goldberg thing. But they still have stories, and you can peel the layers back on those stories and the meanings behind those tattoos and what they, where you got them, who was with you when you got them. And I think that's super important, man. Um, I've got this key here. I love keys, by the way. I do. I love keys. I actually have a box of keys, very cool old keys. I just think they're awesome looking. Like, not like old keys to like a mailbox, but I'm talking like, Harry Potter, Game of Thrones styles, or, some of those ancient keys like from Egyptian days and Roman Empire, intricate designs. They're pieces of art. I think and the stories that they tell, they opened and closed doors to what? Some of them could be treasure rooms or jail cells. It's history. And I just find it so interesting to think about where that key has been, who has held that key, and what have they done with it. So I always find that very interesting. And I got this particular key from a friend that she gave me that key. And then, she left my life. So that's a whole story. It's not a bad thing and whatever. But it reminded me of her enough because we went through so much crap together. And then I lost the key. But I used to have this key, but I lost it. After I got this tattoo, I lost it. So now I'm even like, oh my God, thank God I got this key because this key was given to me as a gift by someone who was also a gift, who, through all the trials and all the heartaches and things, I felt like we probably, if both of us could have done a little bit more, met in the middle, or if I didn't do this, I don't know if I would be in Texas doing this podcast. And I believe that. Obviously, God had a different plan, life had a different plan, and that's what it is. So I'm not like looking at it as a regret thing. I'm just trying to lay the groundwork to tell you how serious the situation was. I still think about her every now and then. Things come up. She's awesome. She's living her best life with somebody, and they're happy. So good. Why wouldn't I want that for somebody? But man, we had years of things. Not fighting, not all bad, but we had some some really tough situations to get through. So this key to me is number one, like I said, I think keys are fascinating. It's the whole reason it came about in the first place. But it's about that, and it's what did that key open? What did that key open to my soul, to our life, to our relationship, our friendship, to memories. This is, yes, it's locked up and it's all in here and in here. But I can look at it and go, God, I'm super happy I got that now since I lost the real one, but look who gave it to me. And then where it came from and boom, 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 boom. So to me, again, an amazing story for a tattoo. And I often think you do get a lot of people that are getting those trendy tattoos, but again, that's a moment for them, whether they regret it or not. It's a moment, you know. I'm a big Alice in Wonderland fan. I think Alice in Wonderland, the book, the cartoon is awesome. Some of the other media that has spawned from it. There was an Alice in Wonderland show that came on back in the day. I swear it was like late 80s, early 90s, before streaming. And it was dark. It was twisted. It was like on NBC, ABC. And I remember like they dealt with the Jabberwocky, but they didn't deal with the Jabberwocky the way that like Tim Burton did. It made it really dark and trying to come back into Alice's real world. Very cool. And you know what? I've looked for it to see if is it as good as I remember, or am I just keeping that memory in my head because that's how I felt at the time, and I can't find it anywhere. It's crazy. And I love Alice in Wonderland. I didn't think the Tim Burton movies were that great. I actually thought he missed the boat on it. And as much as I love Johnny Depp as the Mad Hatter, I didn't like the design. I thought Alice was cool. I did not like what they did with the Cheshire Cat at all. At all. There were some other moments there, some great voices. Alan Rickman is the caterpillar, things like that. And then they did the sequel to Alice in Wonderland, and I didn't like that either. Like, it was just, it was one of those things where I felt like Tim Burton was losing who he was, almost too much Tim Burton for me. Um, I just didn't like it. I was very disappointed because you had this really cool cast and a good opportunity with Johnny Depp and the cast and the storyteller, and it just didn't work. But I love the Cheshire Cat. See, the thing about the Cheshire Cat is you don't really know what he is, much like a cat in general. You can look at him. I can look at Rusco right now, who's staring at me. He's laying there chilling, and he looks like he's happy. I could go to pet him, and he could bite me. Now, he won't, but that's because cats just typically don't give a crap. They love you, and they do, and he is a loving cat, almost too loving. Like you want to tell him, be like, bro, give me some space. It's not me, it's you. Um, but the thing about the Cheshire Cat is you can look at him as a friendly cat who pops up and tries to kind of hint at knowing things in riddles because his emotions are like cats. Cats are a riddle. You can read their walks and their looks and but you don't really truly know what they're thinking. And I think that the Cheshire Cat in that story really encapsulates. Well, I can't talk too tired to use a big word. Really holds that, embodies that, because in one aspect he's kind of tricking Alice and making her think and run around, but another aspect he's actually trying to help her, but then he doesn't know if he wants to help her, and that's what we see. So I love that character. So I have this vision. It's right here. It starts here, and it's not done yet, guys. It's pretty cool. It's not done. It should have been done years ago. I'll get to that. And I know the artist, and I've been in contact with the artist. Starts here and it's going all the way down, and it is essentially it's like a more vicious Cheshire Cat, kind of piercing through, like there's the like a bush, and it's kind of like piercing through with his big smile, but he's got these teeth, and then the colors, like there's his claws, like, and they got to finish it. Well, the reason they didn't finish it was, number one, the guy had a death in the family, and he disappeared for a while, and I'm like, son of a biscuit. And then he went to Colorado. I found that out, and he started popping up on social media again. He had a tattoo place in Dallas, and then he left. And so I started reaching out to him. He's like, I'm coming back, and I'm doing appointments, and we're going to finish that tattoo, man. I got you. And then COVID hit. It wasn't going anywhere. Nobody was. So he wasn't even making money, let alone flying. And then he started to kind of gain some popularity in Colorado and set up shops. Well, now he's got back. He's bouncing. He's doing like 3 months here, 3 months there. So we've reached out just in the last couple of weeks to connect so he can start to. He's going to have to freshen this up. He's almost going to essentially have to do this whole thing over again. And it's not that it's bad. It looks cool, but he never got the colored eyes. He's got the spirals on the eyes, but he's never, done everything. You see him in the shadows. So he's got to finish the coloring. This is going to be another 6, 7, 8, 9 hours, a couple sessions, but it's going all the way down to here. And he's got a piece here. So I know I'm pointing and not really showing you, but so it's happening. But I love the Cheshire Cat that much. And again, I can sit there and tell the story about what happened during that tattoo. I can talk about how many sessions I went. But besides that, I can dive into the reasons why I like the Cheshire Cat, where that came from with Alice in Wonderland. And then it just opens up a whole world of conversations. And also the reality is tattoos aren't meant for you and the people down the street. They're meant for me. It's an extension of who I am. It's a piece of art that I'm carrying, and it's a story for me. And I can tell you that story, but I don't really care if you like it, if you agree with my tattoos or not. I don't really care because it's not for you. And I think that's where people get them wrong. They start, oh, it's going to look really cool. People are going to love this. Who gives a rat's? But I don't care what people think. People might think I should cover up my crappy tattoo, my first one. But to me, I'm not going to, because that's part of me. That's a story. Most people have bad first tattoos. Another one for me that's really important is this. Is the, well, you can't see it, but it's the A2 Brute tattoo on my forearm. my little Julius Caesar Prague. Padilla got me this. That guy's awesome. He was on the show. Couple things. I love history, Roman history, history in general. I think when you look at the Roman Empire and you look at Caesar, Julius Caesar, I think that is an amazing story. And being in leadership and managers and general managers and this and that, you can learn a lot from Julius Caesar, but also in life you can learn a lot. I'm not saying Julius Caesar was a great person. That's not why I'm like trying to be like him. But he surrounded himself with so many people and then got stabbed in the back by the one person that he truly, truly trusted and loved and was essentially his son, if you think about it. Literally stabbed, even though it's funny because he didn't. I know, it's a whole history, but got stabbed in the back. So I love that. I love Shakespeare. And I look back at the time that I got this tattoo. And I was like, okay. Because I believe, even though I'm not perfect, I know it's hard for you guys to wrap your heads around that. And I've done some things that I am definitely not proud of. I mean, probably live with me forever. I've got to, I've let them go and I've given myself that grace to forgive myself and forgive others. But it still sucks. So looking back at all those things, but this particular time, I'm looking back at life stabbed. I felt like life stabbed me in the back. And I felt like there was a lot. Now, this is a while ago, guys, okay? But I felt like there was a lot of things going on that were so much out of my control at the time. And I was not accepting the fact that they were truly out of my control. I was delusional to think that I could control this situation where I had absolutely no control over. I can control my actions during the situations and my words and my voices or my voice, but I couldn't control my feelings because they were there. And that's the thing about feelings. You can't be right or wrong for feeling the way you feel. It's just feelings. You know, you can look at it later and be like, man, I shouldn't have felt that way. But you still felt a certain way. You can't be wrong for that. Those are feelings. Like if you feel like, you know, I offended you, that's your feeling. It doesn't mean you're right. It just means that's how you feel. So looking back, I couldn't control those things. I was feeling some things and trying to struggle through and navigate those things. But I was also realizing that there were so many pieces falling around me. And it was also very insightful. It was like the curtain was lifted, and I was seeing so many people that latched onto me that were my friends and my boys and had my back. And in reality, they were Caesar and me. They were not scissoring. That's a different story. They were absolutely stabbing me in the back while smiling in my face. As my world was falling apart, they were trying to shoo the ashes of my burning life out of their way so the dust would and the smoke would come up so they could go play in the shadows. That's exactly what they were doing. And, part of that is my fault. I I got too vulnerable and I should have looked at it and said, no, these people are not your friends. And that's the thing that kicks me in the butt. Well, there's a woman involved too, so blame women always. Thanks a lot, Eve. Let's all go back to Adam and Eve, guys. We'd all be naked, hanging out with lions right now. She had to have a piece of fruit. Stupid. But yeah, there was a woman involved too, so I was blinded by that. And looking back, I'm like, how did I miss all that? But I did. And yes, there's a life lesson, and we can sit there and spin it and look at the positive. But yes, et tu Brute, you too Brutus. So everybody else was stabbing me, and then I look over, and the one person that I thought for sure might, through everything, maybe not stab me, Maybe they will be that piece in the ocean, and that they will pull this together and will move this way. Was like the ringleader in all of it, you know? So that's a big one, man. That's a big one. So there's a lot of things there. And that's, to me, that's super important in life. Like, I will never forget it anyway. And did I have to have it tattooed on my arm? No. But to me, it's a memory. Or like, I can look down and go, God forbid if something's out of control, or if I'm feeling like that, if I'm feeling like there's in a situation that I'm being surrounded by people that aren't genuine, you know, and they're giving me backhanded compliments, that I can kind of look down and go, got it. Just in case. Just in case in my old age I get soft, you know, and I get weak. This reminds me. Because not everybody is your friend, and not everybody's out there to see you succeed. And even the people that are out there telling you it's love and telling you they want to see you succeed, they're lying to you. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And so me, that's a remembrance of that moment. So I think tattoos tell interesting stories. I'd love to hear people's stories, but I got more, but I don't feel like talking about them. I love to hear people's stories about tattoos, and that was some of the things, like, you know, I was thinking about tonight was I've met some people that have had some amazing artwork, and sometimes it's all it is. They just love these certain things, and they put it on their body, and it came out beautiful. And sometimes that's all it is. It is artwork. You are a canvas, and and I understand some people don't like tattoos and don't want to get them. I will say this: it does not hurt like a needle, like when you're drawing blood. I've fallen asleep getting a tattoo. It's kind of soothing in a weird way, unless your artist has a heavy hand sometimes, or digs too deep, because it shouldn't be going that deep to begin with. But I love that, and I'm not done on my tattoo journey. They are addicting. They're also expensive. So, but now that I've gotten older, I will finish my, Cheshire Cat, and I think the next one will be something to do with Luke, but that could be another year, 2 years from now. The Cheshires first, because I need that idea to be perfect. I don't know how many more I'm going to get after this. Probably not many. I'm 46, going on 47 in November. Not to say that you're too old, but, I got bills, dude. So. But what about you guys? What are your thoughts on tattoos? Do you have a cool tattoo, or a funny tattoo story, or a dumb tattoo? You know, the one thing that I want to do that I've never done is done the Friday the 13th tattoos. I've never done it. I've had opportunities over the years, and I've never done it. There is another Friday the 13th coming up right before Father's Day. So that might be, but the problem is, even though I can go and spend like 20, $30, and you just get those those one little piece tattoos, I just think it'd be a fun story. Again, I can't be dropping $20, $15, $30, $40, $60. They're cheap though. They're usually like, some places do them for $13. Some people do them for 20. Some people have sheets. They're like, here's your $15 tattoos. Because it's just a little tiny thing, like your little Pac-Man on your dingling, I'm not doing that. But on Friday the 13th, it's a big thing. And I've always had the opportunity, but it's also right before we go to Disney. So I'm not trying to like spend that extra. Like, even if it's $10, that's $10 I can buy at the airport and get Luke a snack. So I'm probably going to have to miss it. I think there's another Friday the 13th this year. If there's one that's post Disney but pre-holiday, that would be dope. Or post Disney during holiday, because I'm spend a lot of cash, but I have a lot of cash during the holidays. That's one thing I'd like to get, and that would be a fun story. And I've been invited. I just have not gone to do the Friday the 13th tattoo thing, man. But what about you guys? I want to hear your tattoo stories. You can reach me at Life of an Average Show Podcast BN at gmail.com, or the Life of an Average Show Podcast.com. Check that out if you want. That is a great place to find all your goodies. And then, of course, you can text me, message me, TikTok me until they decide to ban it, and go from there. But hope you guys enjoyed the show. By the way, I have to apologize. I've had some issues with the last two episodes, which I actually think they've been really good episodes. If you've not listened to the last two episodes, go. I had a very special Memorial Day one that I want people to hear, because I think it'll make you think a little bit. And then I did one last week about crossing the line. Can you separate the art from artists? We talk about Kanye, Diddy, situations that have come up like with Johnny Depp, LeBron James, things like that. Can you separate from who the people are to the artist or the athlete or anything? And I thought that was a fun one, especially with everything that's going on with stupid Diddy these days. But I had I recorded it. Everything came out great. Viewed it at my end, came out great. Uploaded it, and in some process of me uploading it, the last several minutes, you got audio, but the screen goes black, and all you can hear is audio. It's not my camera. It's nothing like that because at my end, it showed everything was fine. And I thought it was something in the uploading process, but what I found out when I reached out for tech support was the way they were separating the tracks. That last 7-8 minutes of tracks of vocals of audio, it switched to no video for some reason, like a glitch where I didn't want the video to be on. Makes no sense. Out of all the episodes, I mean, almost 300 episodes that I've recorded. Actually, technically, I'll probably be at 300. I've never had that happen. So I'm going to triple check it. But for those of you that have listened to it, I'm not re-uploading it again. So just deal with it. I'm not. But there is audio always. It sucked though when that happened. So I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen on this one. They kind of told me what to do. I can do like a false upload and see if it glitches. And if it does, then they told me how to fix it. But the big thing is they need to not let it happen because I don't have time, dude. It's a pain in the butt, to go through and do all this. So anyway, I digress. But I'll be back next week. I think Nick is back next week. We're going to talk about Fantastic Four as that movie's just rolling around the corner. We have a part 1 of a 2-part Fantastic Four series, and we're going to dive into that next week on the Life of an Average Joe podcast. Later.